Are tattoos merely a form of artistic expression etched into the skin, or can they directly influence the spiritual destiny of those who wear them? This is a provocative and intriguing question that you may never have asked yourself in depth. Today, in a world where tattoos have become fashion, identity, memory, and even a symbol of overcoming obstacles, many believe that tattoos end on the surface of the physical body. But is that all? Or could it be that behind each design lies an energetic story, an invisible record that accompanies the soul far beyond matter? Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover now may surprise you. Tattoos have always been present in humanity. From ancient peoples who used them as rites of passage, a mark of protection, or a sign of belonging to a clan, to today's youth who seek to immortalize phrases, symbols, or memories, each line is charged with emotion, intention, and meaning. But when we look at them from a spiritual perspective, especially in the light of the messages of Emmanuel, spirit who worked side by side with Chico Xavier, we realize there's a deeper meaning than mere aesthetics. Emmanuel doesn't speak about tattoos from a judgmental or condemning perspective, but as someone who invites us to reflect on the spiritual impact our choices have on our eternal journey. Think for a moment. The body is temporary, but the spirit is immortal. If the physical body is an instrument of the soul, wouldn't it be natural to imagine that everything we record in it somehow echoes in the spiritual realm? Emmanuel brings a vision that goes beyond what the human eye can see. He reminds us that tattoos can carry vibrations, emotions, from the moment they were made, and even energetic connections that transcend the physical plane. This means that a tattoo made out of pain, rebellion, or a desire for affirmation can become not just a mark on the skin, but also a reflection in the subtle realm of the spirit. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever looked at a tattoo and felt that it carries much more than a pretty design? This is where the depth of spiritual messages comes in. Emmanuel points out that nothing happens by chance, that every human choice leaves its mark not only on material life, but also on spiritual destiny. This perspective may seem strange to those who have always seen tattoos as something purely personal, but precisely for this reason, it sparks so much curiosity and reflection. After all, if we are responsible for what we think, feel, and say, why wouldn't we also be responsible for what we engrave on our own bodies? The most interesting thing is that Emmanuel doesn't seek to impose rules, but to open paths of consciousness. Tattooing isn't condemned as a mistake, but rather seen as a choice that has consequences beyond the material. When you decide to immortalize a symbol on your skin, you also immortalize an energy. This energy can accompany you in ways you may not have yet realized. This is the beauty, and at the same time, the responsibility of viewing the body not just as flesh, but as a temple of the spirit. Therefore, throughout this video, we'll dive together into this profound insight into tattoos and spirituality. You'll understand how Emmanuel views these marks, what impact they can have on the spiritual destiny of the tattooed person, and why this topic remains so relevant even decades after his messages were psychographed by Chico Xavier. What you're about to hear could transform the way you view each tattoo, whether yours or that of someone close to you. And to understand better, we need to begin by exploring who Emmanuel was and how his words invite us to see tattoos beyond the STUs, beyond the STUs, beyond the STUs, and way. Skin, ... Have you ever stopped to consider that a simple tattoo can carry much more than a drawing or a memory engraved on the skin? Could these visible marks also reveal hidden records of the soul, signs of experiences lived in other existences, or even reflections of states of mind that transcend time? This is a question that may cause discomfort in some, curiosity in others, but it undoubtedly awakens the need for deeper reflection. After all, if the body is a reflection of the soul, doesn't everything we engrave on it also echo in our spiritual destiny? Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover now may surprise you to understand this topic. It's impossible not to mention Emmanuel, one of the most respected spiritual mentors who manifested through the mediumship of Chico Xavier. You've probably heard his name or read excerpts of his messages. Emmanuel was more than just a mentor to Chico. He was a firm and serene voice who brought two Brazilian Spiritism teachings of universal value, uniting philosophy, Christian morality, and profound reflections on life and the afterlife. His words weren't just generic advice, but invitations to inner transformation. Always based on love, spiritual responsibility, and the conscious use of free will. It is precisely this spiritual authority that makes his perspective on seemingly trivial topics, such as tattoos, so relevant today. According to Emmanuel, a tattoo can be much more than an aesthetic or cultural choice. It can function as an expression of the spirit, bringing to light memories of the spiritual past, records of experiences that marked the soul in previous incarnations, or even as reflections of states of consciousness we experience now. Have you ever thought about this? How many times have you looked at a tattoo yours or someone else's and felt that the symbol held something mysterious, almost as if it were a portal to a story that goes beyond this life? Emmanuel warns us about this very aspect. The physical body is a temporary instrument, but the soul is eternal. And what we project onto the body can leave resonances in the spiritual realm. It's important to emphasize that. Emmanuel doesn't speak about this in a tone of condemnation or moral judgment. He doesn't point to tattoos as a sin, deviation, or error, but rather as an invitation to awareness. The question he leaves us with is, what are you immortalizing on your body, and consequently, in your energy? Because each mark, each line, each symbol not only adorns the skin, but can serve as a channel for the soul's expression, whether to reveal pain, rebellion, memories, or even devotion. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever felt that a tattoo made at a specific moment in your life continues to carry that emotion, even years later? This realization is precisely proof that we are not dealing with just ink, but with meanings that vibrate and connect to our spiritual field. This perspective may seem strange or even uncomfortable to some, but it's liberating for those seeking to understand the hidden side of life. Emmanuel invites us to see tattooing as a choice loaded with symbolism and impact, remembering that no decision is neutral. Just as our words and thoughts shape our energy, the marks on our bodies also become visible and invisible records of our journey. It's not about fear, but about responsibility and self-knowledge. After all, when we understand the value of each act, no matter how small, we begin to walk more consciously towards spiritual evolution. And that's precisely where we'll dive from now on. How tattoos can be understood as a record of the soul and an energetic gateway that transcends the physical plane. What Emmanuel reveals to us about this connection goes far beyond appearance and can transform the way you view. These marks on your body, have you ever wondered if a tattoo on someone's body can be more than just a pretty design or a fond memory? Have you ever stopped to consider that what seems like just an aesthetic choice can actually function as a kind of energetic signature, connecting the person to memories, emotions, and even invisible spiritual forces? This is a provocation that piques curiosity and, for many, may even sound exaggerated, but what you're about to discover may surprise you. After all, if the human body is considered a temple and every scar leaves its mark, why would it be any different with the ink we choose to immortalize on our skin? Stay with me until the end, because this reflection may change the way you view each tattoo. When someone decides to get a tattoo, it's hard to imagine they're recording more than just an image. From a spiritual perspective, the act of marking the skin can represent the imprinting of an energy that will be imbued not only in the physical body, but also in the subtle realm surrounding the human being. Emmanuel, a spirit who worked for decades with Chico Xavier, offers precisely this perspective beyond the visible design. The tattoo holds invisible layers of meaning, capable of accompanying the individual on their evolutionary journey. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever looked at a tattoo of yours or someone else's and felt it carried a power or a memory that transcended time? Each tattoo, according to this spiritual vision, can be linked to the emotion of the moment in which it was made. Consider, for example, someone who decides to get a symbol tattooed amidst the pain of a loss. That choice isn't just aesthetic, but carries the vibration of mourning, longing, and the emotional intensity experienced at that moment. Similarly, tattoos made in moments of rebellion can harbor the energy of revolt and nonconformity, while those created in experiences of devotion or faith can vibrate as true spiritual anchors of protection and hope. No matter the style, size, or design, what is imprinted on the soul goes far beyond the ink. We can imagine the body as a blank page, and each tattoo as a phrase or symbol we write on it. Just as words have power and shape thoughts, tattooed symbols also have strength and can function as energetic portals. It's as if each line is a doorway connecting the tattoo recipient to specific frequencies, which can be positive, neutral, or even challenging, depending on the intention and emotional state with which they were engraved. Isn't it fascinating to think that something so common can carry such spiritual depth? And here comes a powerful metaphor. Just as the body bears scars from accidents, surgeries, or personal battles, the soul also imprints these marks with meaning that goes beyond physical pain. A tattoo can be compared to a chosen scar, a mark that reveals not just a decision, but a piece of the bearer's history. And from a spiritual perspective, this history is not lost. It becomes part of the energy that accompanies the spirit on its journey. This perspective doesn't mean that every tattoo is a burden or a problem. On the contrary, they are often legitimate expressions of identity, courage, or love. But the spiritual perspective invites us to reflect. Do we truly know the energy we are immortalizing on our skin? Are we aware that symbols can connect us to memories of past lives, intense emotions, or even spiritual entities that vibrate at the same frequency as the one we choose to tattoo? This is the question that opens a vast field of reflection and brings us closer to the idea of energetic responsibility. And it's precisely this responsibility and how to deal with the scars we carry on our bodies and souls that we'll delve into now. What Emmanuel reveals to us about the impact of these choices goes beyond appearance and can transform the way you see every feature on your skin. Have you ever stopped to think about what your tattoo really says about you? Not just about what you like, who you love, or the moment you decided to mark your skin, but about what it represents for your soul and your spiritual journey. This is a provocative question that few dare to ask, but it opens a powerful field for reflection. Because if every choice we make in life leaves invisible traces, don't tattoos, imprinted on the physical body, also leave marks that transcend matter. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now may change the way you view these marks you carry within you, Emmanuel. The spirit who guided Chico Xavier for decades never approached tattoos as a cause for fear or condemnation. On the contrary, his messages were always focused on consciousness and spiritual growth. He shows us that human beings are constantly learning and that every act, every word, every symbol engraved on the body is also a lesson to be understood. A tattoo, in this sense, is not something to be feared, but rather an invitation for us to reflect on the intentions and emotions that lead us to immortalize an image on our skin. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever found yourself looking at a tattoo and immediately remembering the exact moment you got it? The emotions you experienced and what it represented in your life? This is the key point. Emmanuel doesn't ask anyone to feel guilty or regretful. He doesn't condemn art, personal expression, or the culture surrounding tattooing. What he proposes is awareness. Because every choice on a tattoo is a powerful and visible choice, leaves marks that are not easily erased. If the body is a fleeting instrument of the soul, it's only natural that every symbol engraved on it is also a form of communication with the spiritual realm. What you engrave on your skin also engraves on your energy. And this isn't a reason for fear, but for responsibility and conscious freedom. Spirituality, in Emmanuel's view, never sees human beings as ready-made or finished. On the contrary, it sees us as evolving spirits, always in a process of transformation and learning. This is why even the marks we bear, whether physical or invisible, can be reinterpreted. A tattoo inked in a moment of pain, for example, can become a reminder of overcoming. A tattoo marked by rebellion can be reinterpreted as a symbol of freedom achieved. Like scars, they are part of our history, but they don't need to define who we are forever. What truly matters is how we choose to deal with these marks from now on. This vision brings hope, because it reminds us that nothing is definitive. We are free beings, but also responsible. And when we combine freedom with awareness, we can transform even the simplest features into points of evolution. Emmanuel invites us to view tattoos not as mistakes or successes, but as chapters in a larger narrative, the narrative of the soul on its eternal journey. And this perspective changes everything because it gives each mark a much deeper meaning. So I ask you, what does your tattoo say about your spiritual journey? Is it just an aesthetic design, or is it also a reflection of who you are, what you've experienced, and what you still want to learn? Think about it carefully, because when we look at each choice consciously, even the marks on our skin can become lights that illuminate the path of our own evolution, and it is precisely along this line of reflection that we will now advance, exploring in even greater depth how these marks can influence the spiritual destiny of the tattooed person and what Emmanuel has to reveal to us about this topic that remains so current, and perhaps. At this point, you're already looking at your own tattoos differently, recalling feelings, phases of life, or memories that have been etched, not only on your skin, but also in your soul. That's precisely the richness of this topic. It opens doors to reflections that each person will experience in a unique way. And that's why I'd love to hear from you. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what has touched you most so far. Sharing your experience or how you view your tattoos can not only enrich this conversation, but also help others seeking to better understand the spiritual impact of their choices. And if you believe, reflections like this are important, watch this video right now. This simple gesture allows the content to reach more people, expanding the reach of this message, which can somehow awaken awareness and transformation in those who need to hear it. Also, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue watching content like this. The idea here is to delve deeply into spiritual messages, Emmanuel's teachings, and reflections that help you see life from a broader and more meaningful perspective. Your participation here is what makes this space grow and become a true community of searching, learning, and sharing. So if something you've heard so far has touched you, comment, like, subscribe, and stay with me, because we still have a lot to explore about how these visible marks can echo in the invisible and reveal surprising aspects of each person's spiritual destiny. Are tattoos merely a form of artistic expression, or can they truly influence the spiritual journey of those who wear them? This question alone opens a door to reflection that goes far beyond aesthetics. In modern society, tattoos have gained ground as fashion, identity, memory, and even as symbols of transformation. People ink phrases that represent overcoming, drawings that immortalize love, or images that evoke moments of pain and rebirth. But Emmanuel, the spiritual mentor who guided Chico Xavier with wisdom and firmness, invites us to see something that physical eyes cannot reach. What he reveals about these marks can change the way you interpret not only your own skin, but also your journey as an immortal spirit. On the surface, a tattoo seems simple, ink applied to the skin, an artistic stroke that tells a personal story. But when we look beyond the physical body, we enter a realm where every detail impacts the energy we carry. Emmanuel points out that nothing about human beings is merely physical because we are, above all, spirits in learning. This means that, just as words and thoughts leave vibrations in the environment, tattoos can also function as permanent records of emotional states, decisions made at important stages in life, or even reflections of spiritual memories that emerge unconsciously. It's interesting to note how, since ancient times, tattoos have always been linked to rituals, beliefs, and symbols of power. Tribal peoples marked their bodies in ceremonies of passage, warriors tattooed symbols of courage, and in many cultures, tattoos served as spiritual protection. Today, in the midst of modernity, the meanings have changed, but the essence remains. Tattooing the body is always an act charged with intention. And it is this intention that, according to spirituality, also leaves a mark on the invisible plane. Have you ever thought about this? Could the tattoo you got in a moment of pain still carry that vibration in your energy field? Or could that image made in a moment of joy vibrate like a positive anchor, illuminating your journey? The most intriguing thing is realizing how often The choice of a tattoo seems to arise from impulse. But from a spiritual perspective, it can be linked to something much deeper. Emmanuel suggests that some seemingly simple decisions can be remnants of past experiences. This means that when someone feels drawn to a specific symbol, they may be unknowingly reliving a spiritual memory from other incarnations. It's as if the tattoo were a window into the backstage of the soul, revealing hidden truths that remain hidden until they become visible on the skin. This perspective completely changes the way we view tattoos. It's not about judging them as right or wrong, but about recognizing their impact beyond appearance. Each line is a record of a person's mentality, each color is a crystallized memory. Each symbol is a link to subtle forces that can influence the tattooed person's energy. Emmanuel doesn't condemn this gesture, but invites us to reflect on what we are immortalizing on our bodies. Because every choice is also a statement to the universe. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because when we talk about tattoos as spiritual records, we enter the realm of energetic signatures. Imagine that each tattoo functions as a kind of invisible seal. If it was inked in a moment of rebellion, this seal can continue to emit that vibration, reinforcing a pattern of nonconformity within the soul. If it was inked amidst great devotion, it can act as a channel of faith, strengthening the bond with the sacred. And if it was inked amid pain, it can carry that density, subsequently requiring work of awareness and transformation so that it becomes a scar of learning rather than an emotional prison. Just as the body holds physical scars, the soul holds symbolic scars. And it is precisely in them that lies the key to understanding the spiritual destiny of the tattooed person. This spiritual perspective isn't an invitation to fear, but to awareness. Because ultimately, what Emmanuel teaches us is that true power lies not in the ink, but in the intention. The tattoo is merely the visible vehicle of something much greater, the state of the soul at the moment it was made. This understanding frees us from guilt and gives us the opportunity to reframe our marks, understanding that each one can be a turning point in our evolutionary journey. And perhaps that's exactly where you recognize yourself. How many times have you looked at a tattoo and felt like it no longer represented who you are today? This happens because just as we change our mindset, we also change our energy. The tattoo remains on the body, but the spirit has the power to give it new meaning, transforming pain into learning, rebellion into maturity, remembrance into gratitude. This is the invitation, not to fear the marks, but to understand the message each one carries. Comment there. That makes sense to me. Emmanuel wasn't just a spirit who transmitted messages through Chico Xavier. He became a respected guide, voice of authority in the spiritual realm precisely because of the clarity and depth with which he addressed the great mysteries of the soul. His words were not laden with dogma, but with a lucidity that spanned generations, revealing hidden truths about life, death, and the inner workings of existence. When he spoke, it wasn't to impose rules or condemnations, but to awaken consciousness. That's why his reflections on something seemingly simple, like tattoos, attract so much attention. Because he shows us that even the most ordinary details can carry meanings much deeper than we imagine, according to Emmanuel. A tattoo shouldn't be seen merely as an aesthetic choice or a rebellious act of youth, but as a reflex that can be connected to memories from other lives, two past experiences that have been engraved not only in the spiritual memory, but also in the perispirit, the subtle body that surrounds the soul and accompanies each incarnation. When someone decides to mark their skin with a symbol, they may often be responding to an impulse that arises from this invisible field. This means that the design is not only a mark on the physical body, but also a kind of echo of past experiences, a memory that has found form in matter. And this is where spiritual insight becomes fascinating. Emmanuel doesn't view tattoos as a mistake, but as a mirror. He invites us to observe what we choose to inscribe on our bodies, because it speaks volumes about our mindset and the stage of our journey. A tattoo can carry a symbol of courage that comes from ancient battles. It can represent a devotion that has spanned centuries or even reflect states of mind that continue to demand expression. Each mark, therefore, is a clue, a detail that reveals fragments of who we were and who we still strive to be, This understanding takes us beyond the superficial realm of criticism or condemnation and leads us into the broader realm of reflection. It's not about asking whether it's right or wrong to tattoo one's body, but about understanding the impact this decision has on our spiritual realm. Because according to Emmanuel, the physical body is merely a temporary garment, but upon it we imprint signs that resonate beyond matter. Each choice, each line, each color speaks about us in a way that goes beyond words. It's as if we were writing an autobiography not only visible to the human eye, but also legible on the invisible plane. Where our energies are understood in their entirety, the most intriguing thing is understanding how. Emmanuel teaches us to see tattoos not as definitive condemnations, but as opportunities for self-discovery. If each mark reveals a state of mind, then each tattoo can become an invitation to transformation. Look at your own skin and ask, why did I choose this symbol? What does it mean to me today? Does this energy still represent who I am? Or has it become just a memory of a past I've overcome? These questions open space for a more honest reflection on the impact of our decisions and help us reframe experiences that would otherwise remain merely frozen images. And there's a beauty in all this. The idea that nothing is static, not even the marks that seem permanent. Emmanuel shows us that even when a tattoo remains on the body, its energy can be transformed. A symbol born of pain can be reinterpreted as a sign of overcoming. An image born of rebellion can be reinterpreted as a lesson in maturity. This vision opens space for a journey of reconciliation with one's own history. Because we understand that we carry not just ink, but experiences that can be worked through and illuminated by consciousness. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because when we reflect on tattoos as a reflection of the spiritual past, we enter a realm of revelations that directly touch on the notion of destiny. Emmanuel suggests that often what we choose to project onto our skin is, in fact, the expression of something that needs to surface to be understood. As if the tattoo were a kind of secret language of the soul, translating emotions and memories we still seek to understand. This explains why certain people feel an irresistible call to specific symbols, as if they were rediscovering a piece of themselves hidden between the lines of life. This idea invites us to view tattoos not as mere fashion, but as part of a journey of self-discovery, healing, and reconciliation with who we were and who we aspired to be. Because deep down, every decision leaves traces. And the tattoo is just a visible example of how our choices shape our story. The body becomes the canvas, but the soul is the true author of this work. And understanding this gives us power, the power to look within, to recognize our inner symbols, and to consciously decide what we want to perpetuate. Therefore, when Emmanuel talks about tattoos, he's not imposing limits, but rather expanding horizons. He reminds us that we are spirits in constant transformation and that each mark, whether on the skin or in memory, is part of a larger narrative that unfolds far beyond a single lifetime. This vision doesn't confine us, but liberates us, because it shows us that even the simplest choices can carry immense meaning, and that it's up to us to interpret them in the light of consciousness. Right there. I'm on this journey too. Each tattoo is more than a drawing, more than ink on the skin. It can be seen as an energetic signature, a kind of invisible fingerprint that connects the wearer to emotions, memories, and even forces beyond our immediate comprehension. It's as if each line were a door, opening a passage not only to aesthetics but also to the spiritual realm, where symbols and vibrations have a life of their own. Emmanuel invites us to view this reality with seriousness and sensitivity. Because the body may seem to be the visible stage of choice, but it is the soul that records the true impact. Think of a tattoo inked in a moment of pain. Perhaps a loss, a disappointment, or a profound emptiness led someone to immortalize on their body what their soul hadn't yet known how to heal. This tattoo, then, isn't just art. It's a symbolic scar that carries with it the energy of that moment. It vibrates, reverberates, and continues to dialogue with the tattooed person's spiritual field, as a constant reminder of what was experienced. Now, imagine another scenario. Someone decides to mark their skin in a moment of rebellion. challenging norms, asserting freedom. This tattoo can become an icon of this defiant energy, a seal that keeps the flame of protest alive. But it can also be reinterpreted throughout life, transforming into a sign of maturity, a reminder that every decision has consequences. There are also tattoos made in moments of devotion, when a person seeks to express faith, love, or connection with something greater. In this case, the energy that remains on the body is not one of heaviness or rebellion, but of surrender and spirituality. Still, Emmanuel reminds us, whether it's pain, rebellion, or devotion, each choice imprints vibrations that remain active, like small portals that can open or close depending on the mindset with which they are approached. The metaphor is powerful. Just as the body bears scars, the soul also imprints meanings that are not easily erased. A tattoo is like a page written in a book you carry with you, and every time someone looks at it, or even every time you see it in the mirror, that story is reactivated. This explains why some people report intense sensations associated with certain tattoos, as if the symbol had a life of its own. Ultimately, it's a dialogue between energy, memory, and consciousness. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when we talk about tattoos as a record of the soul, we're dealing with something that directly touches on the realm of decisions and hidden revelations. Each mark can become a link to experiences that don't just belong in this life, but that belong behind the scenes of our spiritual journey. The impact goes beyond what meets the eye, because a tattoo can be both a key to liberation and a burden that needs to be understood. Emmanuel shows us that, ultimately, it's not about fearing the marks, but about understanding what they say. And this understanding is what opens the door to true inner transformation. When we reflect on this, we realize that each tattoo is like a map, revealing hidden truths that the tattooee may or may not be aware of. The chosen symbol, the location on the body, the moment in life when it was inked. All of this is part of a language the soul uses to express itself. This is why some tattoos seem to lose their meaning over time. The energy that sustained them no longer has the same strength. Others, however, remain alive, pulsing as constant reminders of lessons that still need to be integrated. And here's an important revelation. There is no neutrality. Every tattoo vibrates. Every tattoo influences. Every tattoo leaves an impact. The question isn't whether it affects you or not, but how it affects you. It's like a song you choose to play over and over. On some level, it shapes your mood, influences your mindset, and alters the way you connect with the world. The same is true of the marks we carry on our skin. They become silent melodies that play within our souls, echoing in our energy fields. This vision may seem intense, but at the same time, it brings an incredible opportunity to reframe. If each tattoo is a portal, then you can choose how you want to handle this energy. You can look at an old drawing and see only the pain that originated it, or you can reinterpret it as a symbol of overcoming. You can continue to vibrate with the rebelliousness that marked your youth, or you can transform that flame into mature awareness. The power lies in the mindset, in how you decide to face what is already engraved. And this is the key Emmanuel offers: awareness. It's not about living with guilt or fear, but about recognizing that even the deepest scars can be transformed into steps toward evolution. A tattoo isn't a fixed destiny, but a living reminder that each choice carries meanings that can accompany the spirit on its journey. Knowing this liberates us, because it allows us to look at our scars with new eyes. Understanding that the true writing isn't on the skin, but in the soul, which learns with each step. Comment there. That makes sense to me. When we stop to reflect on all this, we begin to understand that Emmanuel never wanted anyone to live in fear or guilt about having tattoos. He doesn't treat the mark on the skin as an eternal burden, but as a starting point for awareness. Every choice we make, whether it's inking our skin, making an important decision, or taking action at a particular moment in life, leaves an energetic mark that transcends the physical. What Emmanuel teaches us is that recognizing these marks is the first step in transforming their impact into learning and evolution. It's not about judgment or condemnation. It's about freedom with awareness. Freedom with awareness means realizing that every decision, every design, every symbol engraved on the skin or recorded in the soul's memory carries subtle consequences. It's an invitation to look at ourselves honestly, to question the intentions that move us and the energies we project into the world. When someone understands that a tattoo isn't just aesthetic, but also an expression of a state of mind, a door to transformation opens. What might previously have been seen as a burden or regret becomes an opportunity for evolution. Spirituality, as Emmanuel reminds us, never sees the human being as an endpoint, but as a work in constant construction. Every mark, every experience, every choice, whether conscious or unconscious, is part of a larger journey. And it is precisely awareness that allows this journey to be transformed. A tattoo born in a moment of pain can, with reflection, become a symbol of overcoming. An image that marked a period of rebellion can become a reminder of achieved maturity. It all depends on how we interpret and reframe the energy we carry. This vision gives to us hope because it reminds us that we are not trapped by our past. Emmanuel teaches us that the soul is constantly learning and that true power lies not in the design or ink, but in how we choose to deal with the marks we carry. Every tattoo, every scar, every memory is an opportunity for self-knowledge and growth. The freedom to act and decide exists, but the awareness to understand the impact of these decisions is what truly transforms our life trajectory. And when we think of tattoos as expressions of our souls, we also begin to see the signs that connect us to past experiences. Two memories that still need integration, and two energies that can be reinterpreted. Thus, the body ceases to be merely a physical canvas and becomes an instrument of reflection, a space where past and present interact, where pain and joy, mistakes and learning coexist and balance each other. Each mark is a story, a record, a sign that we are alive, but also that we can choose how to move forward. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because this awareness isn't just theoretical. It has a real impact on our mindset, how we face challenges, and the decisions we make daily. When we understand that each tattoo carries a vibration, that each line has the potential to influence our energy, we begin to realize that we are active authors of our spiritual destiny. Nothing is fixed or immutable. Even that which appears permanent on the surface can be transformed internally. As long as there is reflection and a desire for evolution, true freedom lies not in acting without awareness, but in acting with clear intention, knowing that each gesture leaves an echo in the soul. And it is precisely this perception that invites us to reflect on a profound question. What does your tattoo say about your spiritual journey? Is it just a drawing, a memory, or also a manifestation of inner states, a reflection of experiences that span lifetimes? Observing this with honesty and sensitivity is a powerful step, because it gives us the opportunity to reframe everything we've already engraved on our bodies and in the memory of our souls. This is the key to transforming any mark into a point of learning and evolution without guilt or fear. But with full awareness of the energy we're generating, this reflection connects us to something greater. The idea that every choice we make carries an impact, that nothing is trivial, and that even the simplest actions can become valuable lessons when viewed through the lens of spiritual awareness. By understanding this, we begin to realize that true freedom is not acting without limits, but acting with understanding, observing the impact of our decisions, not only physically, but also in the energetic field that accompanies us every step of the way. It's an invitation to introspection, to pay close attention to our own traits, to reframe traits that might previously have been ignored or underestimated. And it is at this point that the opportunity to transform, the experience opens up, to look at each tattoo, each choice, and each memory, and recognize that everything is part of a larger narrative, one that teaches us, shapes us, and connects us with our own evolution. Understanding this places us in a position of protagonism over our story, demonstrating that we are capable of interpreting our marks wisely and transforming any accumulated energy into learning and growth. Comment there. I'm on this journey too. If you've made it this far, it means you've truly allowed yourself to delve into this reflection on tattoos, energy, and consciousness. It's precisely this kind of curiosity and openness that transforms the way we view our own spiritual journey. So, if this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and continue exploring these messages with us. And take the opportunity to leave a comment below saying, "I'm with you until the end." It's incredible to see those who follow every step of this conversation. And it also helps keep this space alive, full of learning and experience sharing. And if this video touched you in any way, give it a like. It's not just about the number of likes, but about this connection we've created, about realizing that we're reflecting together, that every shared insight makes a difference. And there's more. There's a video right here that complements this topic, delving even deeper into the revelations about the spiritual impact of our choices. So click and stay with me there. Let's continue exploring this journey together, unraveling each layer, each detail, and understanding how to transform each experience into learning and evolution.